here comes the fun. We are going to create our own Python functions. Okay, I'm very excited about this. A function is a combination from certain steps that have a logic that when they are executed, they return certain result. For example, a plus b is equal to c is a function because it's a logic that says, okay, when I add a and b, the value c is going to come out and I'm going to return that value c. One also important thing to mention is that functions mostly have variables. They need to be reutilizable in your code, so you can call that function again and again. So let's create our first calculator in Python. For that, we need to create a function. A function needs to be defined, and to define a function in Python, we just use the word def. After this, we need to name our function. It's important to know that for naming functions, we use camel case. So let's name our function. Let's call it calculate numbers. Then what we need to do next is to add a parenthesis, because if you already know this, a function always has parentheses. Inside this parenthesis, we can pass in parameters, but we are not going to do that now. After this, we need to say what is this function going to be executing. So we put the double point, or however this character is called. Okay, if you now press enter, you will see that the cursor does not move to the beginning of the line, it moves a little bit to the right. That's because this is the way that Python knows what belongs to the function and what not. So if we now write down here some code, it will belong to the function. As soon as we delete this and try to write down something here, this will not belong to the function. Everything that belongs to the function needs to be correctly indented. Okay, calculate numbers is equal to print 15 plus 10. If we now execute our Python code, we will get absolutely nothing because we only defined the function. Now we need to call the function. For that, we need to go all the way to the start of the line and now write down the name of this function that we just created. Calculate numbers, now parentheses, and if we now try to execute the code, we will get 25 because we defined inside of the variable that it should print 15 plus 10. But what if we want this to be able to add some numbers that we pass inside of here? For that, we need to define some parameters. We are going to say, okay, calculate numbers a and b, and then we are going to say print a plus b. If we now try to execute this, we will get a type error because we need to pass in here the numbers that we want to add. So let's say 5 and separated by comma 2. So this will add 5 and 2 together. Let's rerun the code, and as you can see, we get 7. Because 5 plus 2 is 7. If we add here a minus sign instead of a plus, we will get 3. You can create so many things with functions, but there is one thing I want to show you. You are not forced to print this out to the console. Imagine you need to print out everything. It's a mess. We can simply return this value. So we can say here, c is equal to a plus b, and now we can say, okay, just return c. What this is going to do is we are going to call the function. We are going to say, okay, 5 plus 2, add these two numbers, and now we need to store the value that this function returns. So we're going to say results equal to calculate numbers. So if we now execute this, we will get nothing into the console, but now we can later on in our code print out the result. Print result. If we now execute it, we will get 7. That's how you write your own functions in Python. It's very, very easy, and it will save you a lot of time when it comes to writing code, because functions can be reutilized inside of your code. So you do not have to write the same thing again and again and again every time you want to calculate some numbers, or every time that you want to ask the user for some input. You can always store this inside of a function and reutilize this. Trust me, it's going to save your life.